Hi, my name is Bernard Pucher, and welcome to CenterFrame's Make It Short. We are a show where we give constructive feedback to filmmakers. And joining me is my co-host, Diogo Brugman. He's a Brazilian journalist and critic. And please tell us, Diogo, what is in store for us today?
Hey guys, I'm glad to be here again. Today we're going to talk about animated short films. So the world of animation. So we have a couple of films to discuss today.
I'm actually really excited about those because one of them got sent to us, but one of them you found, right?
Yes, I did. I was looking for interesting animated features, short films online, and I was glad to find some very interesting ones looking for feedback. So I invited them in.
Awesome, awesome. All right, and also, as all the films, we get a lot of submissions, but we noticed that quite a few of them are men, and we don't have enough female filmmakers. So we'd love to get a few more. Please be sure to send your films in. Also, non-binary, transgender. The more, the merrier. Please send us your stuff. We'd love to talk about it. We'd love to review it and give you feedback if you so wish. So, but more importantly, today is joining me a lovely, what I consider a personal legend of mine, because we've been working together for a while now. Actually,
we have.
We've been developing a feature together, which has taken various iterations over the years.
Yep.
But his name is David Friedman. He's a writer, director, songwriter.
Yeah.
Tries to call himself a not animator.
I've animated I've animated because that's kind of how I started, but.
Right.
I very quickly drifted off into writing because I realized there's less drawings involved, and you can still be very visual and not have to worry.
All right.
So I've worked through every stage of the animation process, from animating to storyboarding to writing.
You do voice work too, right?
I have done voice work. Yeah, very much. There's a show on Disney Channel which still has my voice on it.
Nice.
But also ran an animation studio for a while because we were doing co-production. So we would do all the pre-production.
Okay,
I'm so old I can remember X Sheets.
Oh my gosh! Even I remember X Sheets.
Yeah. But no, I'm not old. I was just an EDM gig on Saturday night. How dare anybody say I'm old?
I saw your Instagram on that, and by the way, you should follow him on Instagram. He loves his Insta, so make sure you go check his Instagram out.
I put stupid stuff up there, but no, I don't animate anymore, and I don't run an animation studio anymore because you have to do commercials and other things to pay the bills.
It's just less fun.
Then went and did my own thing, and mostly these days and in fact always as a writer. My job is to help other people see their vision through and help other people.
Well, that's was going to mention next, just to spout your credentials a little bit more. Most famously, you were involved with Studio Ghibli, who you've helped get a lot of their films into the English language market. But also, tell us a bit more of some of the projects you worked on.
I think with Ghibli, it's I was kind of consulting with Ghibli because they were saying, how do we save money in the studio? And I went, oh, well, actually, here's a Japanese thing I'm working on right now. And they went, oh, that's good. And wow, you really hit sync. And I kind of invented a way to make things go quicker in the studio with very expensive actors. But that's a lie. I didn't invent a way. I just adapted what we already do in animation production and said, look, let's just scratch track it first. So when we get in the studio, we know it syncs. Of course we know it syncs. We've scratched the whole film.
Yeah.
Now I've told everybody the secret. Everybody's going to do it. I think everybody does do it.
Yeah.
It's very quickly. We were working in a studio in LA, and they went, "Wow, this really helps the actors." I went, "It's what we already do."
Yeah.
Went, oh, we don't do this with foreign language films because we always see them as, done.
Right. Of course.
Anyhow, so that's all I've ever done there, and then various things where I've adapted things like, Seven Little Monsters. I worked with Alan Gilby, who adapted that. His, it's quite a thin book into a series for CBS, and Dick King Smith's book, adapting that into a series for CITV, and then series director for Disney.
But you basically help people win awards from everything I've seen.
I try to help them win awards or earn money. Those two things don't always go together.
Right.
As I've often been told, like, are we making filet mignon or Big Macs? I don't know. I quite like filet mignon. I prefer I like the awards. I like the interesting stuff.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so let's get to our first film. Diogo, what is the first film we're going to talk about?
So the first short film we're going to talk about today is called Shuffled. It's a film directed by Markus Helmersson, and it tells the story of a little girl who is trapped inside a puzzle, and she has to solve a puzzle in order to get out, to be free. It's a very colorful short film. It's an interesting use of animation, but I think what I loved the most about this film was the use of light and also the use of music. The sound of the film was pretty impressive. And of course, it's only 5 minutes long, so we don't have the story is quite limited to that space and to that area. So the premise and the concept is quite simple, but I think it reaches some interesting levels, and then I really enjoyed the conclusion. I think it was really clever, and that's why I chose it to be here for us to discuss today.
I agree. I really, really liked the film as well. I thought it was a really cute, simple premise, even though it was a little bit nicked from a horror film called Cube, which I don't know if you've seen, but it's a Canadian film from, I think, either the late 90s or early 2000s. It's the same thing, same premise, but the idea is in the Cube, if you don't solve the puzzle, you die. And then there's this whole thing, and it's
then maybe it's an homage.
I think it absolutely is.
I'm going to go with a homage rather than pastiche because, first of all, I know of the Cube, but I don't like to work on horror films.
Right.
In fact, it's one of I say yes to a lot of things because it's fun to help people fix things and help features. But every time someone brings me something like, and then these children are tortured, I go, you know what?
I can't do it.
No. So I'm going to go with this one homage. But also, I kind of thought, do you have to be a geek to get this? Do I have to know how to solve one of those?
It's a Rubik's cubes.
Do you have to know how to do that?
Well,
I sort of very quickly went, oh no, you don't.
Yeah, no, I mean it's good. I mean what I really like is how at first it's definitely an homage. I think very, very well aware of this film because there's a lot of similarities to it. So I think it's very clear. But on the other hand, I love that that it's an entirely visual movie. Like there's no sort of inner monologue with voiceovers or something like that. It's purely visual storytelling and told effectively. And actually I really appreciate the simple animation of it. Like it wasn't, they didn't overthink it. They didn't do anything super crazy. It's nice and quaint and simple storytelling. And I found the reveal at the end. Actually, I don't think I want to spoil the reveal because it's a good one.
Because they all die. No, she doesn't die. She doesn't.
Gory.
No, there's a punchline, but also that's the point of short films.
Yeah.
Short films like short stories, like O. Henry obviously being the best short story writer arguably ever.
Yeah, probably.
It's really satisfying when there's a punchline.
Yeah.
Because you're going, okay, I know I'm in it, and I know this is going to be any second now. There's going to be here comes the punch, and it's satisfied, and you went, I see what you did.
It's a good punch, which is why I'm glad you said puzzle and not just Rubik's Cube, because it's more than Rubik's Cube, and I thought that was really, really smart.
And then she dies.
And then,
and then she dies.
They should have added Wordle to the whole thing, since that's the new craze.
Yeah.
Yes. But so actually, why don't we talk to the filmmaker and find out how they made it and how the whole thing came about. Hi, Markus. Markus Helmersson, right? You wrote and directed the film Shuffled, or is it Reshuffled? Because you changed the title at the end of the film. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate your coming.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Great. So I would like to know more about how you made the film, how the idea for it came about. Also, where are you based? Where are you located, by the way?
I'm based in Sweden, in a small town called Filipstad in Värmland. It's a small county there. And basically, to answer your question, the idea came to me it's quite a long time ago, actually. It's like in 2008, the 3rd of March, that I actually came up with the idea.
Oh, you remember the day.
I like that you can remember the day.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's 2 days before my birthday, by the way. This is good.
Okay. Yeah, I keep a lot of notes and write down all of my ideas. And basically that day I just was trying to write and see what would come up together. Basically, I'm just writing to see what comes up and getting inspiration for ideas and everything. And basically, I just started with this woman in this room enclosed, trying to get out. And basically, the idea just came from that. It just grew from one thing to another. And I was lucky enough to have an entire film that flash, just having the beginning and then, of course. But then, of course, the problem was that I I had no way of doing it at the time. I was just I wasn't an animator at the time, and I realized that this had to be animated to make sense to make it. Otherwise, I would have to build the entire thing, and that was just not feasible at all. So I just it was just one of those ideas that I really liked the idea, but I decided that I will just hold on to it and just continue with other stuff. And then just going forward, just looking for collaborators to work with. I met this awesome guy called Ricky Earl, that is an awesome animator from England that is now living in Sweden. And he was basically, we just got along really well and started thinking about what can we do something together. And after about a year of, this is in 20, I think it's 2015 actually. So I came up with the idea in 2008. And then in 2015, I remembered this idea and proposed it for him. And it really ticked all of the boxes, that it had to be something simple. It's in a room, one character, something that doesn't take a lot of years to do, or at least
can I say between those dates of 2008, 2013, it sounds like a long time. That's par for the course.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it. Everybody's film takes a long. It does. It takes a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're ahead of schedule, really.
That's glad to hear. But then I had to work about 4 years more to actually complete it after.
Oh, wow.
So it's a long process. It was completed in 2018. That's when it was wrapped, basically. And
I just need to know if you can remember the date. 2018. What date?
I can probably look it up, but I don't. But it was. Maybe I have it. No, I won't.
Don't worry.
Don't look at it. It's all good.
I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can remember my children's birthdays, and it's all going to get very embarrassing in a moment.
Right. So, tell me about where the aesthetic choices came from. Did you have any inspiration from that? And so what was the sort of thinking behind that? And why a Rubik's Cube?
Yeah, I think it's hard to say. I mean, it just made sense to have it in a puzzle, basically. That's just the idea that grew from it. But then it's the art style, I wanted it to be really bright and colorful, but at the same time kind of dark, which is why the sound is so kind of menacing, like a cave-like environment. So that we kind of have this juxtaposition with the light, but also the darkness in there. But and I mean, it's just going back and forth with different things. I think I'm a fan of anime, Japanese animation. So we have kind of this cell shading likeness to it, so that even if it's all of it is basically 3D animated, it's still having this flat 2D feel to it. And so it's just basically just taking what made sense for the story in a way, and then just putting it together, bright and colorful, so that it's easy to see the character.
We need to ask. I'm going to ask. Is it an homage to the Cube? Are you familiar with the Cube, or have you never seen the Cube?
I think I've seen it before, but I think it's more
like a coincidence.
Yeah, that's probably a coincidence, I think. Yeah,
see, that's even better.
That's even better. Because I recommend you watch The Cube, because obviously it's a horror film in comparison to your charming animation, but it was.
No, I don't think anybody should watch The Cube, because they're going to be scarred for life. Nobody should put themselves.
Only you get scarred for life, dude.
Why would
no
anybody
problem with scarring anyone here.
So did you come up with the idea because you were in that kind of a mood where you felt trapped and you felt like I can't solve anything today? I'm being serious. I'm being dead serious.
Yeah, maybe it was just wishful thinking or something. Yes. What if I could actually solve a Rubik's Cube or something? But but it's basically I just followed the idea. That's kind of my sense of what I'm doing. I'm just getting these ideas, and if there are something interesting in there that makes me actually spend a lot of years trying to make them happen, I just follow the idea basically and see where it goes. In a way. And
I have one very specific question, which I'm sure you've been asked before. The woman wakes up inside the cube. Did the animator ask you at the very least, where was she before she woke up?
No, we actually like the idea to just have her wake up in there. So we don't have any sense of why she's there. what brought her in there. It's just, and it didn't really feel that it was necessary to have that. Just having her in the moment, basically. Wake up, what the hell's going on? Why am I here? I need to get out of here. That's kind of like the
So as if
essential.
everyone can put themselves into that kind of character.
Yeah. And how the hell am I supposed to solve a Rubik? Sorry, I don't know if you're allowed to swear here, but
Yeah, sir, go for it. It's fine.
how on earth am I supposed to solve a Rubik's cube and everything?
From the inside.
From the inside, exactly.
Yeah.
Diogo, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. We commented before that your film it doesn't have any lines. The girl is there, she grunts, she's she makes an effort to move the cube and everything, but she never speaks anything. Like, was that always the plan, or were there like a script before that she had any kind of lines that or voiceover that we were inside her mind, or that was never an option for you?
No, it was never an option really. Ever since an older movie I did called Art Vantage, I've been really intrigued about the idea to like tell as much as possible without dialogue, just having visual storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like, I guess I'm like I said before, I follow the story, and if it needs dialogue, I use it. But whenever I feel that I don't need it, it's just It feels like it tells enough on its own without me trying to talk over it or.
She
It
is in a
does, it
nightmare.
totally does.
And yeah, I mean, it's a colorful nightmare, but you're still trapped inside, So
Yeah.
I think it's great. Well, Markus, thank you very, very much for joining us and giving us some insight on how you made the film, how it came about. Sorry for the slightly longer wait, but I appreciate that you stuck around. So yeah, thank you very much for sending your film to us. And the next film that you have, please send it to us as well. We'd love to watch it.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Thanks for having me, and have a good day.
It's fantastic.
Thank you,
Well
Markus.
done.
Thanks.
Well done. Was it a metaphor of any kind?
Right, of
That's
course.
that's my
I mean, I think when it comes to that, really feel like while the storytelling is visual, and I think the puzzle and the ending is really strong, I do think the film needed a little bit more refinement on the animation itself. Like I feel like some of the me personally, even though it's humanoid, I do feel like some of the animation could have felt a little bit.
I'm going to say no.
No, you don't think so?
No, because when you're making a short film and it's your own money, there's no budget anywhere for any short film ever.
Yeah.
It's not a thing anymore.
Yeah, of course.
They don't open up in cinemas with a short film.
We're trying to fix that at CenterFrame, just so you know. Shameless plug, but we're trying to fix that.
They could make more money at cinemas if they had short films, because they could sell more popcorn that way.
Right.
But at the moment, COVID and cinemas and, there's a lot of climbing back to get people to go on dates. Netflix and chilling has replaced going to a dark room and snogging.
Right.
So, we've got some way to go. But because the budgets are so low, I respect every short film and every
just even doing
person.
It, right?
Yeah, you do something with stick figures, you can get it across. South Park is the worst animation ever. With the
greatest, great writing.
With the greatest writing and expressive attitude and characters, and what everyone's feeling with shorthand. So I think every short film gets a prize for
even
completion,
just getting done, especially animation, right?
Especially animation. I think you did a great job. Is it a metaphor for something else? No, it's a joke, it's a puzzle, it's a thing. You had a big idea in a little film.
I mean, if there's anything you'd have to nitpick at, could you or would you not want to?
Well, I think it's
just so
I always say, you've got my attention. What are you trying to say?
Right.
So whether that's for, especially, since I've been doing features and I've fallen into features, you got 90 minutes of my attention.
Right.
And first of all, it's hard to hold my attention for 10 seconds, given, the way people look at their phones and all the rest. You got 5 minutes to say something. What are you saying? If it's just a joke,
fine.
Okay. Thank you for
entertaining
me for 5 minutes. If you have something more to say and you can say it in 5 minutes, great.
Right.
Truthfully, his final punchline was a punchline I didn't get, other than, oh, it's another puzzle.
Yeah.
I don't know what that puzzle is.
Oh, but I mean, it's okay. I'll spoil it. You'll have to watch. Promise me you'll pause now and watch the film before I spoil it now. So I'm going to spoil it now. It's Sudoku.
Oh, okay.
It's a big Sudoku, and actually,
then I didn't know what it was.
Interestingly enough, if it had been a 9x9 Rubik's Cube, it would have been much harder than the Sudoku puzzles. Like, the Sudoku puzzles are comparatively much easier than a 9x9 Rubik's Cube.
All the same, it's a girl who wakes up somewhere, is being tortured, and completes it, and the reward for completion is here's another puzzle.
Here's another puzzle.
And quite frankly, that's life, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what he was trying to say.
Maybe that's the metaphor. Yeah, even if it's what do you call it when it's not an intentional metaphor but an inferred metaphor that comes out of the text from the reader.
I don't know, but I'm gonna say this.
What?
Because he didn't see the cube and it was a mere coincidence. I'm gonna say that it
was intentional.
Markus absolutely intended on it being a metaphor, that life is a series of hurdles and a series of puzzles, and quite frankly, if you make it beyond the last puzzle and there's no puzzles left, you're probably dead.
It's a good way to read it. All right, Diogo, what's our next film?
Good. So the next film is called Wireless Nonsense. It's an anime-like style of animation directed by Victor Espada, and it's a 4-minute long film with gorgeous visuals. We have different characters who are not entirely human, so it's a cyberpunk kind of a vibe that we have from the atmosphere of the film, and there's a lot of neon lights and the rain, and so it's very impressive from this perspective. The story, it's a little bit vague. We don't know exactly if there is a story happening there, but I think it's from the visual perspective is something that we should always give it a chance. So when I found this online, because this was one of the films that I was lucky enough to find, I think, on a Reddit thread. So I was really happy to get in touch with the director and have him allow us to discuss his film here today.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I loved the aesthetic as well, and obviously you've worked with anime a bit as well, so I wonder what you thought about the aesthetic. I do think the story is probably its weakest part because it's not an obvious story, and maybe something a little bit more obvious could have been there. But I have to say, it had my attention. It had my attention the whole way through. I was wondering what it is, and I think for that, it did that amazingly. So from a sheer directing perspective, to direct my attention and to get me to want to know what's more happening, it didn't necessarily pay it off. But I was with the story. I was curious. What is it trying to get me at?
Yeah, and it was a slice of this bit of life, that bit of life, that bit of life in this future world, and you are look.
Do you think that's what it is, like an anthology of like little slices of future world type thing?
We'll find out when we speak to the director. But I think that ultimately, again, it's a short film. You win a prize for finishing.
Yeah.
So anyhow, look, we as humans are obsessed with coincidences and links and joining the dots. Mm-hmm. That's why they invented dot the dot for humans. Okay. We sit there going, well, what is and how does he relate to this? And that's why conspiracy theories are born as well, because we're going, no, clearly that man there, and what about the grassy knoll? We're always trying to put things together.
Yeah, we're guided by stories, aren't we?
We're guided by stories, and we love a good coincidence.
Yeah.
And in fact, let me rephrase that. We hate a coincidence, but we love things when they are meant to be.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
We will take coincidences and we'll say, no, that's meant to be. Mm. So for instance, when you're watching a feature film, you don't mind if somebody gets into trouble due to choosing the wrong door, but you hate it when they get out of trouble because a trapdoor happened to open beneath them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or they happen to go, oh, this door leads outside. If that's the solution to all their problems, if the Matrix ended because he just went through the wrong door and suddenly he's fine, you'd go, you feel really cheated. So, storytellers need to know that everybody watching your film is desperate to put these pieces together.
Right.
And so I found myself watching it, looking
for the pieces.
Looking for the pieces.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much where I was. I was looking for the pieces, trying to see how they fit together. And part of me was thinking, what is this like? Maybe it's a bit more of a show reel piece in the sense that it's like a student graduation piece to show off your skills as an animator and to show off like what you can do. Could it be because that at least could make that work essentially because it's really good for a student project. That's for sure.
I think it's good for any animator. It's good for anything. However, I'm just Mr. Nice Guy today.
Yeah.
I at the end I went, I can't quite put the pieces together.
Yeah, that's the thing. That was. But
maybe the director will go, didn't you see? And then I'll go, oh.
Right. No. Actually, let's talk to Victor. Let's find out from him what this project is. All right, Victor, thank you for joining us. You're coming to us from Spain. Where in Spain are you based?
I'm from Madrid.
Oh, from Madrid. Nice.
I was from Toledo, and I recently moved here. And since I became a freelance artist, and I'm really happy to be here. Like I lived in my small town of my life. Madrid is
Nice.
a big, cool city.
So, tell us how you got started in animation, but also what the inspiration was for Wireless Nonsense.
Yeah, I started on animation with stop motion when I was 14. I took Legos, my Bionicles, and I did stop motion with them, and I love the concept. And I've been fiddling with Flash even from them. And the main inspiration from Wireless Nonsense was Blade Runner and
Nice.
Psychopaths.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cyberpunk.
Yeah, like it was made for a college. It was my thesis film for my fine
I
arts
guessed right.
There
college.
you go. You win the prize. A duck was going to come falling down and award you a box of cigars, I think.
Yeah, I guessed right. I was trying to figure out if what the source of the story was. So I'm glad I got it right
the
with your thesis
context.
project.
Yeah, it's my thesis film. Like I had an idea for a TV show, but I can do a TV show on my own. So I made a short film showcasing the characters, sort of like a trailer of a pilot. Like I did it all on my own for college while I was doing other stuff. So the process was not efficient, and the result is not quite there yet. But there's some scenes that I'm very happy with. So like Blade Runner and Psychopaths, and also the Iron Man scenes where everything clicks and it's very OCD, like that Transformers looks. That's the three mains: Blade Runner, Iron Man, and
Nice,
Psychopaths.
that's nice. So, how would you describe your process of making it? I mean, I'm assuming it's been a little while since you've made it, but
Yeah.
how would you describe your process? You said it wasn't efficient. I would love to know more about that.
To put it lightly, it was unorganized. To put it realistically, it was a disaster. Like I'm an animator that started the how's the expression? Like I started, I didn't did a walk cycle, but I did a man face turning into a traffic light, a mechanic traffic light. Like was I did it all in the wrong order. Like I used rotoscoping, I use a reference a lot. I didn't want to learn animation. I want to trick myself into animation, like fake it till you make it. So once I finished the short film, I wasn't happy with the result, and it sat on my desktop for 1 year, and I didn't show it to anyone because I wanted to be like professional, like. And then I started like, okay, well, let's try to become a real animator. And now that my process is better than that, the process was basically I came up with the traffic light man, the
Yeah,
man
Yeah, the
who's
guy whose head
comes
comes apart.
decomposed.
which I
That was the
loved.
concept. Yeah,
I
thank
love
you
that.
very
That's
much.
really great.
That's the main, and I waited too damn long to show it. But I'm thinking of doing about a director's cut, like what just with the cool transformation scene to make it a little viral, if you say. But yeah, I developed the character, and then I came up with a whole story for a show, the characters, and everything came from the traffic light man. That was the main
Nice.
thing.
I would love to. Do you have any questions for him?
How have you become less chaotic now in your workflow? Apart from the fact that you've learned to draw, clearly. Extremely.
Yeah. I've learned to draw. If you like what I would love to show a new thing that I will do freelance, like I've done recently. Like this took 1 year and a half to make, and the new stuff that I made is 1 minute of animation that I'm very happy with the result. Much more with the short film, and it took 5 days to make. I changed my workflow from having to take reference, taking a 3D model to do the perspective, and not knowing composition, from actually learning and using reference. Like I worked without reference before, and now I have everything that I want to take as reference. I do a mood board. Let's try to reference it. That's the main thing. Like I try to not mimic something, but take inspiration for something.
And then you
I'm-
start to block it out yourself.
Yeah, like the typical thing, like storyboard and then animatic, like do it in the traditional way. Like I want to do it the like the I knew over every software. I knew Macromedia, Toon Boom Harmony, Blender, but I didn't knew the basics of animation. I haven't done a walk cycle. I haven't done like a bouncing ball, the most common things. and I started to do in the traditional way, and I'm more modest, and I don't think myself that I'm better than anyone. I have a special way to do it better than everyone. And since I became more modest, it's a much more gratifying process now. Like I'm way happier with what I'm doing now.
Perfect. So now the biggest question I had is, did you intend to have a story in this, or was this primarily just a showcase for individual bits?
Absolutely. Actually, the main focus was to try to tell the story without voice acting. Like I had enormous. It's based on a comic book that I did also, and it has a like a very, and the story is also evolving. Like this was like a glimpse of what it could be when I didn't knew how to do animation yet. So I'm learning to do it. So in the future, maybe I could do it properly. Like
Right.
to actually
Okay, Diogo, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do have a question. First of all, thank you for allowing us to discuss your film here. I was really happy.
It's my first time talking with anyone in about animation in English. Like,
Wow.
and it's everything that I consume. It's in English, and everything, every tutorial, every stuff that I learn, it's in English. So it's like a very huge thing to me. So
Good.
please continue.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, I'm happy for you, and I'm happy for us. We had the opportunity to watch your film, and I noticed that your avatar here on when you logged in and on YouTube, I guess it's one of the characters of the film,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Is that
yeah.
the protagonist? Is that like what's the
Yes, it
mean?
is.
Like, can you tell a little bit more about the character?
If you want to, I could talk you for 7 hours if you want.
Okay, okay, give us the pitch. We don't have 7 hours.
We've only got 5.
His name is Henry, and he's an android. Like he was like yeah, the story is like there's one android and 3 humans, and the main goal of the story will be to transmit the idea like technology is not good or bad. It's a thing, and it can do amazing things like connect each other now from
Mhm,
another part. They could do bad things. Like it's a colliding thing, like with Mr. Robot and that stuff. So the protagonist
mhm.
is called Henry, and yeah, he's like like Bender in Futurama. Like it's that kind of relation with humans and a robot, and the protagonist is a robot. That's the main
Okay.
thing, and that way I can do things with him that you can do with humans. Like yeah, that's
Right. Okay.
Great.
I hold it
I'm
very
in
dear.
already.
It's
I
my
just want to.
yeah. Did you like it?
I love it. Yeah.
Okay, well, Victor, thank you very, very much for joining us. I appreciate you waiting for around for a little bit. But do you have any more questions you want to ask?
No, I'm just very impressed that somebody could boil down 7 hours down into it, basically a 10-second summation.
Yeah.
I was, but
Well done. Well
I
done.
do
I'm
think the
glad.
thing.
I thought I haven't done. I'm glad.
All right, thank you very much, Victor. Appreciate it, and please be sure to send us send us your next film when it's done.
Yeah, I would do it.
Okay,
Definitely.
thank you very much, Victor.
What's up?
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
What a great guy! Like, you know what? The thing I admire the most about I mean, obviously, he has a lot of ambition. Yeah, I mean, he thought he knew a lot of stuff before he knew anything, right? And it's not an unusual thing to do, but he clearly has big ideas, clearly has big visions, and basically brute forced his way through animation.
Yeah.
I mean, that takes a lot of patience and a lot of skill and a lot of frustration to have to sit through to make yourself do that in order to get there. I mean, I think I respect that a lot when somebody just does that. And even though I didn't quite get the story of what that film was, because clearly he had big ideas that he wasn't quite able to fit into his little piece, I really loved the visuals and I was totally with it. So
It's like
respect to
it's
it.
a teaser for a bigger feature film, which he's going to make within the next
TV
8
show.
years.
It says a TV show, which
Oh, it
means
might be a
7
TV show.
hours. Right?
Oh well,
Yeah, that's the thing. He has everything written down. Well,
Diego, how did you come across it?
Oh, that's something I do. I go looking for films every day. That's like I wake up in the morning, I open social media and go looking for some short films. And his film was animated films was something that, as Bernard mentioned, we didn't receive a lot of submissions. People sent some 4 or 5 animated films for us in our website.
out of
And
several
we needed
hundred,
more. I
we
wanted
only
more.
had 4 or 5.
Wow.
It's disappointingly low. I was hoping we'd have more too.
So like 100
Yeah.
live actions.
Yeah, more than that.
Yeah.
Like we like much more than that. Yeah, I mean, but only a few animations. It's kind of we're really hoping for.
That's
more
because
than
it's 24 frames a second. It's completely painful and very
Yeah.
expensive and time consuming. It's just
that. That's got to be it, right? Just by the very default, it's gonna be less. You know.
also
Yeah.
everybody who works in animation is nice
Right.
because we're not hanging out with celebrities, we're not hobnobbing, we're not getting our hair done and makeup done on set. There's no catering table.
Right.
So and it's 24 frames a second. So if you work in animation, you gotta love it. You just gotta love it and be passionate about it. And that also means you're probably a hermit. You don't even know COVID is happening. You haven't left your house in 10
Your
years.
characters
anyhow.
got COVID before you did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you know,
Already
people in
follow
animation
all
are
the
really
protocols.
nice and they're hermits.
So I'm glad I got you out of your hermit's nest.
I'm a gregarious hermit, but I am a hermit. I mean, I'm a writer. I love it when they go.
Yeah, but
and
hermits-
this writer lives in the countryside. Of course we do. We just don't meet other
It's
people.
us on paper, right? Yeah, but I thank you very much for coming down, and thank you very much for giving us your insights
very
on the
welcome.
film, and thanks for talking to the filmmakers. I really, really appreciate it. And if you want to follow David, remember I told you to check out his Instagram, David Max Friedman.
David Max
Make sure to get the right David Friedman. Well, Diogo, thank you very much for putting this show together. I appreciate it. Thank you, David, for joining us, and we will see you again for another episode of the animations. So we will talk more about the films next time. So everybody watching, thank you for tuning in. Please be sure to check out David's social media. Please sign up to the CenterFrame newsletter on centerframe.com. Also join our social medias to join the conversation. And please be sure to send us your films if you have any. As I said before, we are looking for more filmmakers, especially female, transgender, non-binary filmmakers. Send us your stuff. Send us your animations. We don't have enough of those. So please do, and we will catch you next time.